Right now, your face is lying to you. Not in the way you might think. Not the polite smile you put on for a coworker you barely tolerate. Not the practiced look of calm you wear in a meeting, while your mind is somewhere else entirely. Something far more ancient is happening, something you did not choose and cannot stop, and almost certainly do not notice. Your face has been sending signals since before you were born, and most of them are not yours to control. Here is the strange part. You share this with every human being alive. Across every culture, every language, every century of recorded history, your face makes the same movements in the same moments. A man in Tokyo and a woman in rural Bolivia who have never shared a word will move the same 17 muscles in the same sequence when they see something that disgusts them. They will raise the same inner corners of their brows in the same way when they feel sadness. They never agreed on this. No one taught them. It was already there. But why? How did your face become its own broadcast system, running in the background of every interaction, transmitting information you never meant to send? The answer starts somewhere you would not expect. It starts with fish. Around 375 million years ago, your earliest vertebrate ancestors had faces that barely moved, flat, expressionless, built for function. Eyes that tracked prey, a jaw that opened and closed. That was it. Expression, in the way you understand it, did not yet exist. There was no social species yet that needed it. There was no audience to perform for. Then something shifted. The creatures that eventually became us started living in groups. And living in groups changed everything about the face. When you are surrounded by others of your kind, information becomes survival. Knowing whether the creature next to you is calm or afraid, whether it intends to attack or to flee, whether it has spotted food or danger, all of that is intelligence. And intelligence in the ancient world was the difference between living and dying. The face became the fastest way to broadcast that intelligence. Faster than sound, faster than gesture. A flicker across someone's brow travels to your visual cortex in under 30 milliseconds. You process it before you are even conscious it happened. This is the architecture Paul Ekman spent his career mapping. Ekman, a psychologist who began his research in the 1960s, traveled to Papua New Guinea to meet the Four People, a tribe that had been almost entirely isolated from Western culture. He showed them photographs of faces. He asked them to match the face to a story. Fear, happiness, disgust, anger, surprise, sadness. The Four People matched them correctly every time. Not because they had seen these expressions in films or television or global media. They had not. They matched them because the expressions were not learned. They were inherited. Ekman called these the basic emotions. 6 faces that every human being on the planet makes, and every human being on the planet recognizes. He would later refine his work over decades, eventually cataloging what he called the Facial Action Coding System, or FACSA framework, that broke the face into 43 independent muscle movements called action units, each one corresponding to a specific emotional state or combination of states. But the more interesting discovery was not in the catalog. It was in the leakage. Your face, it turns out, is not very good at keeping secrets. In the 1960s, Ekman and his colleague Wallace Friesen began studying psychiatric patients who were concealing suicidal intent from hospital staff. They slowed down footage of patient interviews to a fraction of normal speed. And there, in frames that lasted less than 1/5 of a second, they found it. A flash of genuine anguish crossing a patient's face before the practiced neutral expression returned. A micro-expression, gone so fast that no one in the room had noticed it. But the camera caught it. And once they knew to look, they found it everywhere. You make micro-expressions constantly. A flicker of contempt when someone says something you find ridiculous. A flash of fear when a conversation turns somewhere you did not want it to go. A brief, involuntary widening of the eyes when you hear something that genuinely surprises you before your conscious self can smooth it back to neutral. These expressions last between 40 and 500 milliseconds. Most people cannot consciously detect them, but most people unconsciously respond to them. This is why you sometimes feel uneasy around someone whose words are perfectly reassuring. Your conscious mind is listening to the words, but something older, deeper, faster is watching the face. And what it sees does not match. The technical term for a genuine expression is a Duchenne expression, named after the 19th century French neurologist Guillaume Benjamin Duchenne. Duchenne discovered that a real smile uses two muscle groups simultaneously: the zygomatic major muscle, which pulls the corners of your lips upward, and the orbicularis oculi, which crinkles the skin around your eyes and lifts your cheeks. You can consciously activate the first one. You almost cannot consciously activate the second. A real smile reaches your eyes. A performed smile usually does not. You have known this your whole life. You just never had a word for it. The remarkable thing is that your brain knows the difference almost instantly. In a study by researchers at the University of Glasgow, participants were shown genuine and fake smiles at speeds too fast for conscious recognition. Their brains still responded differently to each. The genuine smile activated regions associated with reward. The fake one did not. Your nervous system is running its own authentication system on every face you see, beneath the level of your awareness. And it runs the other direction too. In the 1980s, Fritz Strack and colleagues proposed what became known as the facial feedback hypothesis. They asked participants to hold a pen either between their teeth, which engaged the muscles used in smiling, or between their lips, which suppressed them. The participants then rated how funny they found cartoons. The group holding the pen in their teeth, without knowing they were smiling, rated the cartoons as funnier. The physical expression was feeding information back into the emotional system. The face was not just broadcasting emotion, it was creating it. This finding was later challenged, replicated, challenged again. The science of it is still alive and contested. But what has emerged from that debate is something more nuanced. Your face and your emotional state are in constant conversation. They influence each other in both directions. When you force a genuine smile, your body begins to behave as though the reason for that smile is real. When you hold tension in your jaw or your brow for hours, your nervous system reads it as a signal that something is wrong. The expression and the feeling are not as separate as you assumed. You have likely noticed this in your own life, without understanding why. The strange lightness you feel after genuinely laughing at something stupid. The way a long commute with a clenched jaw makes you arrive already irritated. The way holding someone's gaze too long begins to feel uncomfortably intimate, because eye contact, even between strangers, activates the same circuitry as genuine connection. Your face is running an ancient program, one that was optimized for a world where you lived in a small group of people you would see every day for your entire life. Every flicker of expression was meaningful. Every micro-expression was intelligence. Betrayal, loyalty, desire, threat, all of it moved across faces before anyone said a word. That world is gone, but the program is still running. Every time you walk into a room full of people, your face is scanning and broadcasting simultaneously. You are reading dozens of faces in seconds, sorting threat from safety, genuine from performed, interested from disinterested. And your own face is doing the same for everyone in the room, whether you want it to or not. The research of neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett adds another layer to this. Your brain is not passively receiving expressions and decoding them. It is actively predicting them. It is using context, memory, and your own bodily state to construct the emotional meaning of what it sees. Which means two people can look at the same face and read it differently, and both of them will feel certain that they are right. This is where it gets personal. Think about the last time someone looked at you and said unprompted, "Are you okay?" You had not said anything, you had not complained, but something moved across your face that you did not mean to send. A small betrayal, an ancient signal that reached someone else's visual cortex before either of you were aware of it. Or think about the last time you watched someone describe an experience they said did not bother them, and something in you did not believe it. Not because of the words, because of the face, because something flickered there, for less than half a second, that told a different story. That was not intuition. That was neuroscience. That was 375 million years of evolution, running quietly in the background, doing exactly what it was designed to do. Your face has been telling the truth long before you decided whether to. Right now, without choosing to, your face is doing it again.